2 years ago, I didn't know anything about indie animation. 2 years ago, that changed when I watched the first 2 episodes of the amazing digital Circus. I think I speak for many when I say this show impacted me in ways I can't describe. Sunday, June 7th, I went to the theater with my best friends and my brother to watch the finale. I had stayed off the internet for a couple weeks for fear of the leaks. I loved the finale. I would cherish the memory of crying in that theater. And then I came home and saw all the discourse, and everyone was complaining. Now, I understand why people are upset. I do think that there could have been little tweaks that would have made the episode better, but I am fully satisfied with the finale. There are 5 main complaints I want to address. Again, I am fine with people disagreeing with me over a cartoon, but I also have strong opinions on this. So let's get into it. The first argument I would like to address is that Soma being true weakens the series as a whole. For those who may not be familiar, Soma theory is the idea that the TADC cast are all digital copies of real people, a theory that was confirmed in the finale. Now, I haven't seen too many people online mad about this, but I know some people in my group were, so I have to assume that some other people didn't like it. My best friend argues that because the cast isn't technically real, nothing that they went through matters, and it just ruins the emotional impact of the story. But I think that Soma really adds to the themes of the series. I don't think the message is actually what Goose stated it was, of finding meaning in a stagnant life. At least that's not what I got out of the show. The main theme I saw was similar to something I feel that Undertale, which I'm in the midst of playing, is trying to tell me. It doesn't matter if it's technically real. Kindness still matters. Undertale is a game that rewards you for mercy and punishes you for cruelty. The philosophy of the amazing digital Circus rewards Pomni's kindness and punishes Jack's abusive behavior. Because kindness always matters, no matter how real the situation is. I think this theme resonates so much with me personally because I'm such a fictionally minded person. If I have a choice in a video game, I'm always choosing based off real-life morality. I don't care if it's not technically real. I want to do the right thing, and I think that's important. I also think an escape the circus ending wouldn't have fit the tone of the show. People are saying the ending was too happy as it is. I feel like a straight-up escape would have magnified the happy feeling even more, and just have been even more tonal whiplash. That's a critique I had about this finale, that there was a fair amount of tonal whiplash and a few poor pacing decisions. I had the exact same issues with the beach episode though, so I think it's unfair to call the finale the worst in the series, especially considering it could have been a lot worse on both those fronts. A lot of people have been talking about how there were too many loose ends. Listen, I get it. I got into this show through theorizing and lore. Seriously, if I had a nickel for every time MatPat was the reason I got into a horror series with an autistic fan base, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it is weird that it happened twice. Doofenshmirtz joke aside, I know what it's like to get attached to the lore, especially the lore of TADC. But when it becomes clear that the characters matter more than the lore, I will care more about the characters than the lore. Digital Circus is about people, not machines. The realization that abstraction is a metaphor for taking one's own life and not some complex piece of a lore puzzle that needs to be solved in order to understand the story was a major reality check for me. Yes, there's mystery around certain things, and yes, not all of the questions are answered, but that's okay. I am tired of people pretending that every question, every loose lore end needs to be resolved for the story to be satisfying. People treat it like it's some writing rule and ignore just how fun and exciting speculation can be. If the show wants to be character-led, let the show be character-led. And if you want a bunch of complicated lore to sift through, well, be careful what you wish for. I'm a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. Y'all don't understand what we've been through. TADC is just the Jax show. Ragatha was supposed to be a main character. Zuba was completely sidelined. I am so tired of hearing the Jax show complaints. It was never the Jax show. TADC has always been the Pomni show, and Jax just so happens to be the best driver for Pomni's character development. Is Jax a bit of a self-insert on the creator's part? Well, yeah, kinda, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't read Goose's tweets and just watched the show. Are the other characters much less prominent than Jax and Pomni? Yeah, have you ever heard the concept of side characters in a main cast? Take Avatar as an example. Aang and Zuko really overshadow the other main characters in the grand scheme of things. The rest of the cast is still beloved and gets their own episodes, but Zuko is really good at fueling Aang's development, and everyone else is for that matter, so he gets a lot more focus. Pomni going from being entirely self-serving in the pilot to the point where she won't even help someone who was nothing but kind to her, to the point of being wholly selfless and loving someone so unlovable. That's the point of the show. At least that's one of the big themes that I got out of it. The love we have for our fellow man should not be conditional. Yes, people need to be called out on their harmful behaviors, but that doesn't mean we stop loving them and trying to help them until they literally will not let us anymore. I don't think the show justifies Jax's actions. He suffers the consequences for them, and I don't think the rest of the cast being less prominent in the finale takes away from their arcs at all. Look, I predicted a lot of this finale. I predicted it would be a big therapy episode. I knew Soma would be true. I knew Jax would abstract. I knew we'd get the names. I knew the cast would rebuild the circus via conjuring. That was my biggest prediction that turned out to be true, and I was really happy when it happened. But I did not expect Kane to come back. I know a lot of people did, but I sure didn't. My brother was furious, but I think that while Kane's return was not essential to the story, I liked it. Because not only did it serve as a thematic foil to Jax and, well, Am as well, it also provided us with one of the most incredible moments in animation, like, ever. I love this shot. It's so beautiful. But the big reason I liked Kane's return is because it gives purpose to the Void. The Void was one of the biggest mysteries early on. It featured so prominently in the pilot, so when it clicked in my mind that it was the recycling bin of the computer, it was a really cool moment, and gave purpose to something that initially seemed purposeless. The final complaint I would like to address is the idea that the very end is, in my brother's words, too happy-go-lucky. I get this argument. I really do. It's the most valid one that I'm addressing, and the tone being more somber could have been a minor change that would have patched up what was objectively a flaw in the finale. However, my point with this video is not that the finale was flawless. This is my episode tier list. It's literally in B tier. It is quite flawed. No, the point is that at its core, despite what little nitpicks I may have with it, I am satisfied with this conclusion. So that was my defense of Remember. I really loved it. Even if there are many people who disliked or even hated it, I personally will carry it in my heart as a satisfying conclusion to my favorite animated show. So thank you to Gooseworks, Glitch, and everyone who made this show possible. It means a lot to me. If you enjoyed the video, or you want to watch more videos like this one on art and media analysis, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. God bless.